Hello everyone and welcome back. In today's video we're gonna create our splash screen. The first thing we're gonna do here is create a package here. We have this package features here. Let's create our splash screen here. Let's call this splash screen file 1, and then let's learn how can we structure our screens. The first thing we have to create here is a composable. It will be a function, and let's call this our splash roach. Like this. Let's also create another composable, and let's call this splash screen. And let's create another composable, but this one for our preview. Let's add this for preview. You can see what we are doing here. Let's want some space here, and in your preview let's call a function called splash screen preview. And here inside our splash screen preview you have to call our theme. Let's call the chat app theme, this one, and then we can move this splash screen inside here. For now you won't be able to see nothing here because we don't have nothing on our splash screen here. And why we call the splash screen here and not the splash road? It's basically because our splash road here will be the responsible one to deal with the data, with the view model, and to listen to the UI status. If you call this road here or just have the screen, you have to instantiate the view model here, so it's a lot of work to doing this. This way is way simple, so you can see what your screen is looking like just with mock data. But enough for this, and let's start creating our splash screen. For this screen we need a column and a row. Is the two main basic structures for composable screens. So let's see how this works. Let's start call a column here, and inside the column we will have a row. You can use inline components. The column will align our components in a vertical way, one below another, and the row we use inline with the horizontal one, like this. Let's see how you can do this. Here in the column 1 we can pass an image. Here we use a painter resource turbo. Let's just import this, and the R2, this one from chat, and here we can just pass our logo here like this. And for the content description we just pass no for now. We can deal with this later because the focus here is how you can use column and row and how you use preview. We can take this in another class and we talk a bit little more about these things. You can see here, something is already happening here. You can see we have this big logo here, and here in the row you can just, let's pass another image here. Let's pass an image here. Let's pass a painter, and here in the turbo you can pass the safety one. I see safety like this, and let's make the content description as no also. And you can see this is our icon here, and in front of this, because you are on a row, I want to put some texture. Let's use a text. Let's use a text here. Inside this text we're gonna pass the text one. Let's call string resource. Inside here we're passing the ID for the string resource, like this splash safety info. You can see taking some form here, right? And for this text here we want to change the color for this. You can just use the color. The compose have some colors here. You can just use the composable library color. You can just say color.white like this, and your text should be white. And we want to use also text alignment. We can say how this texture will behave. There's a lot of things happening here. Let's take a look in some of them, and let's make this screen here looks pretty. Of course, we have this column here. You can see we have some params that we can use here. We have this modifier one. We can modify our components in any way that we want, and we have this native params here, so vertical arrangement and this horizontal alignment here. And you have this content tool. The rule here is whenever you don't have this natively here, for some reason we want to change the background here or whatever you want to do here, I don't know why, and it's not here natively, you can use the modifiers to do this. For example, in the row you have the same ones, but in the text here you can see you have a lot of things here. You have minimum lines, max lines, you have line height, text alignment, from family, weight, style, color. If you want to do something with your text that's not listed here, you can use the modifier for this. Let's start using this in this column here. For this column here, we can pass the horizontal alignment, like horizontally, like a center, and you can pass the vertical to the center too. Let's just import this, and you can see that fix the position in the layout here. So let's do the same thing for the row here. In the row, you can pass, let's best choose the vertical alignment because it's what we want here. Let's make this center like this, with this occupy the center, and you can see you can see really how it's working in your screen. You can use the preview one here, and you can just say show background. Let's pass it through here, and you can see that's working here. Now you're seeing a white background here. You can click here in these settings, and you can see everything you wanna change in the preview and everything you can change in the preview. For us here, we can pass the background color here, and let's click here. You can see a little better the text here and how this everything is behaving. And you can take a look of some things here. We can play a little thing so you can understand what and which one of these one does. All right, let's keep going here. One thing you want to do here is to see how this would behave, and actually want this to take all our screen space. This column here is the root component here, and you can pass the modifier here. What you're gonna do with this modifier? We'll call modifier, and we're gonna pass this from modifier something called fill max size. You can see this will now take all the size available in your screen. You can see this is how the screen is looking for now. And also here in the modifier, we're gonna pass some padding here. Let's say 16 dp maybe. Now you have these components here, and we can have some spacing between this column or between this image and this row here. We have a component from composer called spacer. You can call this space here. You can pass a modifier for this, and you can say modifier high in this space. We can just pass high here, and let's say 60 dp maybe. Let's see how it will look. You can see now I have a modifier here. If you click here, you can see something in the screen, but it's just a spacer that we use here. And this text is also, you can pass something in this row here. Let's call a spacer here. Let's call modifier, and let's use the width one because you want to change the width, right? You can pass the width. Let's pass HDP like this. Let's see. You can see now, and you can see we're starting to take some form here. What do you still need to do in this screen? The first thing is the background. We're gonna pass gradient background for this screen. It's look really beautiful, and I also want to take a look at our fonts here. Change this font, and I think this I will let to the next class because this take a lot of things. We learned a lot of new concepts here, and it's will better to just separate the class. With enough content for this one. Take your time to see the columns one, the space here, about modifier. Play a little bit with these values. We put some image, some spaces, change the text here, and I see you in the next video. Bye. Here's my hope and I wonder.